What? What the? Y'all some little tortoises, huh? Look at you.
Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? Welcome to another Tomic Book Guy review. Today, Lenny and I are back. We just saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, and we're here to break it down and talk about it. Lenny and I are both huge Ninja Turtle fans. So don't think that like I'm jumping on board this movie 100% just because, I'm a huge fan. If anything, it's harder to impress people like you and I. Overall, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it had a lot of charm to it. It had a lot of personality to it. It was really nice seeing like the Turtles actually as teenagers this time around. They're played by teenagers. They joke around like teenagers. They act like teenagers. They get into trouble because they're fucking teenagers. And that was cool. Like it was every other version of the Turtles. You could obviously tell they were adults, even though they're called teenagers, but they sounded and acted like fucking adults.
Yeah, this was nice to have an actual teenage iteration of the Turtles.
And that should be something different and something exciting. Get like a actual young version of them and see them, mature over a trilogy or a series of movies, whatever they end up doing. There's actually the sequel already got greenlit. Sequel got greenlit, and there's a side story show going on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
So the show got greenlit and the sequel got greenlit.
I mean, let's be honest. Anything Turtles put their name on, it's going to end up being sort of successful in one way or another.
And it's a great time to be a Turtle fan right now, dude. So 100%. Not only like the toys are killing it, the comic books are killing it. Fucking Ninja Turtles are back in theaters. There's a new show coming out. There's a lot of like it's definitely cool going to like a Walmart or a Target and seeing like the Ninja Turtle end caps, and I see little kids asking their mom or dad like, "Can I get Raphael too?" You know what I mean? Like they're putting on the masks in the aisle, and like they're talking to their parents about which toys they want to do, and they're like putting the shirts and the coloring books. Like it just reminds me when I was a kid and like KB Toys and fucking Toys R Us. You know what I mean? Like, so it's cool that like another generation is obviously like enjoying the product.
Turtle fever has definitely struck another generation, and it's nice to have that to be able to like share with younger generations. Like, you may have cool turtles, but trust me, when you get older, you'll appreciate the older and the younger. So
yes. So we're gonna jump into the movie. Here's your warning: spoilers. We will be talking about everything about the movie in detail. So if you haven't seen it, fuck off and go watch it, and then come back.
Let's get her done.
All right, so the movie opens up with a group of agents working for a new character named Cynthia Utrom. She kind of seems like the Amanda Waller of this movie. She's kind of just like behind the scenes, like ordering people around on what to do. But obviously, this is going to be related to the Utroms, and eventually maybe we'll get Krang, or some version of an Utrom, or all the Utroms.
Yeah, anytime, as soon as I heard Utrom, I was like, wait a minute, are we talking like cosmic mutation ooze that like created the Turtles Utrom? So like, okay.
TCRI is mentioned numerous times.
Yeah, and they went back to the C, which is it's always nice to see them flip between the C and the G, between cosmic and global. So nice to see they're going cosmic.
Yes, they are going the comic book route where it's TCRI and not TGRI. So they're
Plus, she looked like the Krang too. Like she had a very
weird head. It was like the animation style of this movie is awesome. It's kind of like Into the Spider-Verse, but you can tell it's inspired by that, but it's not exactly like it. I remember reading an interview with either Jeff Rowe or Seth Rogen, and they said they wanted this to look like it was made by teenagers, right? Like the way it was drawn. So sometimes when you see like details like in the face or something in the background, or like I've noticed one scene today when I saw it, someone's holding a phone. I think Donnie's holding his phone, and the glow is just squiggly lines going around it. So it looks like unfinished like artwork kind of. It kind of has like its own like unique style. It was obviously inspired by the Spider-Verse movies, but it kind of like does its own thing.
Even when they opened up, like I noticed like they did a pan over on like a traffic light, and even just noticing that the circles weren't exact, or like any like straight lines were just like slightly off. That was just a nice animation touch, I think. And they definitely took some notes from Into the Spider-Verse, but they definitely went their own route with it and went with that more like juvenile drawing, like a doodle on the side of the page kind of thing, which was
Yeah.
really good choices.
So Cynthia Utram has a group of agents that are about to break into Baxter Stockman's house to retrieve, what does she call it? She calls it the specimens, I think. So they're trying to get his ooze and whatever he's been experimenting on, where you see, like, he calls it like his family, like you see like versions, baby versions of like Leatherhead and Bebop and Rocksteady and Scumbug and kind of like his whole crew that you meet later on, fully grown. And so yeah, what's his name? Giancarlo Esposito, the guy who played Gus
Yeah.
Fring. Yeah,
Yep.
so Esposito is Baxter Stockman, which is a great casting choice. He plays a villain, like mwah. Him,
His
dude,
voice
him in
alone
Breaking
is just villainous.
him in Breaking Bad, one of the best villains done on TV or movies. I fucking love that character.
But super underrated, like underused in this movie. Like I
Yes,
was really hoping for a lot more from
so we'll get there in a second. So
it.
TCRI wants to get the specimens, and they mainly want the fly. So in this, Baxter Stockman wasn't he doesn't get mutated into a fly in the original comic, so I was fine with that. So the fly kind of becomes its own thing. The fly becomes Superfly eventually, the main villain of the movie. But they break in, they accidentally blow up a bunch of tanks, all the specimens are destroyed. Baxter is blown up and laying on the ground. Obviously, he has to be alive because they took him. But if you wanted to see more Baxter Stockman, that's all you get. The first, like, what is it, 5 minutes or so? I love Baxter Stockman. I wanted more of him. I wish he ended up escaping as well. So like, they leave, they take whatever they can salvage, and the fly, which becomes Superfly, leaves. I kind of wish he escaped too, and you could have had Superfly be the main villain still, but you had Baxter behind the scenes pulling the strings and, like, you know what I mean? Maybe talking to him in a headphone back in whatever lair he's hiding in or something.
I'm
But
glad
yeah,
you said that because I wrote down like it was they had potential to do something with him, but Baxter's always used as like a backup, like not a backup, but as like a number two. He's always working for Shredder. He's always working for Krang. He's always kind of that secondy science guy who's always not necessarily the main villain, but he's, definitely important.
this is my first nitpick with the movie. So when they take Baxter, he drops one little vial of mutagen, falls into the sewer, and that's what mutates the turtles. Right? So I guess there's no like fishbowl scene. There's no like the kid, like, drops the fishbowl of turtles and it falls off the truck, like kind of like, Eastman and Laird's version of like the Daredevil tie-in or
Yep.
something. So Baxter's responsible for the mutation of the turtles and Splinter.
And they just happen to have turtles just chilling in a New York sewer. Like that's the one slightly confusing origin aspect of turtles that like without the like the fishbowl, like the kid drops them into the sewer. Like, why are there turtles just chilling in the sewer? I don't know
So
much
why
about
are there?
sewers. I don't know who lives there, but like,
Yeah, I'm pretty
tur-
sure if baby turtles, domesticated baby turtles fell into the fucking sewer, they'd probably get eaten by something.
they would be mutated by a lot worse in New York City. That's for damn
Yeah,
sure.
just the New York City water will probably mutate those fuckers. We meet the turtles on the rooftop. They kind of like pay homage to like the Mirage style. Like they're all talking like with deep raspy voices, and their eyes are whited out. And
You got a nice
so
Batman reference in there.
yes. So like Splinter sent us on a mission for Gogurt. And then they all start making fun of Leo for doing his Batman voice. And this is like the first time you get the chemistry of the turtles. They all
Yeah.
bounce off each other incredibly well. Like I said before, teenagers acting like teenagers, and it works very well.
It was really nice to see the younger side of the turtles really come out because we all know how their relationships kind of form as they get older. So to
Yeah.
kind of see the beginnings of that is nice. Like everybody kind of ganging up on Leo, not really taking him seriously at all because he hasn't become the leader yet. Raph having that angry side, but also still being able to like hang out with his brothers. That was a nice kind of like the other side of Raph that you don't always get to see.
I overall like the voices. I didn't like Mikey's voice. I wasn't.
Part of
It bothered me at first, but I kind of got used to it and it was fine. But like when you think of Mikey, you kind of think of like that West Coast like California style accent with like you don't even have to like see the guy's face to know he probably skateboards and surfs.
yes.
You know what I mean? But like he just kind of sounded like a kid.
At one point, I want to say that I found myself wanting Donnie and Mikey's voices to switch, just because I feel
That could have
like
worked. That could have worked.
that just sounded a little bit more natural to me. But
I thought I was gonna hate Donnie's voice going into it. Like he's obviously like the one who hasn't like hit any
Yeah.
level of puberty yet, and his voice is super high pitched.
yeah,
But it was fine. I honestly forgot all about it like once the movie actually like got going.
and it was also just talking about the turtles for a second. Normally they give Donnie the gap tooth, or at least in the most recent iterations they did, and they gave it to Raph this time. So it's
Yeah,
nice to see them kind of like bouncing smaller details
smaller.
off
Yeah.
of the other turtles and just kind of seeing where they land.
See, I thought going into it that it was going to be a tooth that he got knocked out at some point because it's like it's not like a gap in the middle; it's like the side. But when you
Right.
see him as like fat little baby Raph, he doesn't have that one tooth. I guess that one tooth just never grew in. But
Just
whatever,
never happened.
it gives him some character of being like the edgy one. You know what I mean? A fat little baby Raph is fucking great, by the way.
Yeah, even as when they went into the babies, just giving them each their individual shape and just kind of sticking with that
Yeah.
was a nice touch.
They go into the grocery store and each of them has like a certain something they have to get from the grocery store. And at this part, Annie Up comes on the soundtrack. And the soundtrack and score for this is awesome. Like if you're a
Oh,
hip hop fan, you're gonna love this movie. You got Wu-Tang, you got Busta Rhymes, you got a Tribe Called Quest. You know what I mean? Like you just got some really good stuff. And do you know Trent Reznor did the score for this?
really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
They released the official score like a week ago. And I was curious on like how it was going to sound if they had like a new like Ninja Turtle theme song, if they paid homage to like the older songs in any way. And once I'm like, oh, it's Trent Reznor. This is going to be interesting. And he did a really cool job. Like it's happy. Like there's like, you know, it's kind of like 8-bitty in certain sounds. There's like 8-bit kind of like electronica style sounds, but it's also like edgy and kind of dark with like the undertones of it. It's like once you know it's Trent Reznor and you listen for it, you're like, all right, I can tell.
Yeah, there was definitely moments at one point where even the background music was definitely like really adding that aspect of like just putting that emotional feel in with it, where it was like, okay, soundtrack, like you're really just gonna like come in here and just be that extra layer that we needed. Come on now.
Yeah, when it was like a villain moment or a happy moment, like they definitely nailed the feel of it.
100%.
So after that, we see a news report in Times Square. The reporter's talking about how a bunch of TCRI equipment is being stolen by a criminal named Superfly.
First of all, no, I'm sorry, we have to stop because that news reporter, that female news reporter, the way they animated the humans in here, she had like that one wonky like side face that looked like she had been bitten by a superfly, and like only one side of her face was all swollen up. And so like it kind of made all of the humans in their own way look like they were the offspring of Chunk or of
Ew.
Sloth from the Goonies.
There's a scene later on where like they're fighting like a handful of goons. And there's one guy, he's like, I forget exactly what he said. He's like, oh, these guys. He's like, oh, I think they're the mascots we see down at Times Square. And like his one eye is like down here, and his
Shit.
face is like shaped like that.
So many aspects. So I was like, okay, so like they put all of their effort into the mutants and zero and creative effort into like making sure people were symmetrical.
I mean, if they're going for the whole look of like a teenager could have like drawn the concept art or like the animation for it, then I guess it kind of goes with it. Because if you see the turtles when they're babies, they're all fucking crooked too.
Yeah, but again, like I guess there were certain aspects where like if you see the turtles and then the mutants and then everything else in the background, like there was definitely more detail on the turtles and the mutants, and then like the rest was more of the like doodly aspect, which
Yeah,
again
yeah,
was great, but it kind of was noticeable when
yeah.
you
Some
have
of
such
them,
drastic styles right
Some
up
of them
against.
looked very off. Like the actual humans look more fucking mutated than the mutants. But so after they're done with their mission of the grocery store, they s- so they look on their phones and they find there's an outdoor movie in Brooklyn.
Now,
What?
first of all, how do they have phones?
How the fuck do they have phone service?
Thank you. There in the sewer, you might be able to pull some Wi-Fi if you can pull electricity and all that shit. I can maybe let that slide, but like full service out in the world, you're not gonna have that.
I mean, like at first thing I thought maybe they're like stealing the cards from the grocery store, but you got to activate those motherfuckers. And there's no way they have Wi-Fi in the fucking sewer, dude. How many times are we in the city or something, and we go down to like the basement of like a building? I don't got nothing. They better have some good ass extenders in the fucking sewer.
Listen, Donnie's a tech guy, so maybe was able to create a little something for that.
Yeah.
Or
Oh,
or I guess you could jailbreak phones nowadays.
yeah. I guess they kind of have to have like the internet connection to kind of like have the turtles even know what's going on in the real world.
I would have preferred shell phones, but I guess cell
Yes.
phones will do.
Yes. Yes. The shell phone would have been nice. So we find out they're hiding from the humans, and they really want to be part of the society. They want to be accepted. They don't like because they're going back to the lair, and there's like a sad song playing, and you can tell like they really want to be up at the surface with the humans and not hiding out like fucking monsters.
Hey, well, because unfortunately, as we're gonna soon find out, their father has sold them. They or the humans will think they're monsters. So you have
Yes.
to.
So let's go right into that. So then we meet Splinter. We meet
Oh,
Splinter, and Jackie Chan is perfect. I really
he
enjoy Jackie Chan in this.
he really now is like the ultimate dad. I feel like
He
you know
does
you
he
just
does play he does play a very good father, pain in the ass father in this movie. He's like their mentor when they get a little older and they gain some responsibility and they learn some lessons. He'll probably back off a little bit. But right now he's at the point where like humans are fucking monsters. They will torture you, and there's a milking joke throughout the entire movie. Like he's like the humans will grab you and they will milk you.
Every ticket you buy to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles helps save a turtle from being milked.
Why do you always jump to milking? We don't even have nipples.
Dad, stop with the milking. Stop with the milking.
honestly one of the strangest recurring jokes of the entire film. But you know what? I'll still take it. But again, like we have a younger version of Splinter. It's not the as old master that we're used to seeing. So it's interesting to kind of see the pre-master Splinter.
Yes. And so Leo rats them out to Splinter.
Really sorry, Splinter. Some of the guys wanted to get pizza and I tried to talk them out of it.
You ratted us out.
Hey, don't use that word that way.
I mean, it's 2023.
Sorry,
my kid.
Dad.
Hey, don't use that term.
Yeah, don't use that term. But Leo snitches on him, and Splinter finds out they were sneaking around, and that makes him tell us, the viewer, the origin story that is obviously already told the Turtles a million times. He's like, oh, I'll just tell you the long version. So we get the whole long version of like him being a rat, which was so what eventually when he becomes after he gets mutated, he has a mullet, which looks fucking great. I kind of wish he had the mullet through the whole movie. But a mullet is notorious for being an 80s style haircut, right? So
Yep.
if this is modern times, what, 14, 15 years ago, it'd be like,
2000.
2008-ish. I don't think mullets were really like that big back then, but whatever. I like to give him a mullet. So he tells them the origin of how he was a homeless rat in the city and he didn't have any friends. And one day he stumbles upon the turtles in the sewer covered in the ooze, and they all mutate.
Splinter kind of going back to that. I was alone. I had nobody, and then I found you guys. Like
Yeah, well,
it really
that's
it really hammered that whole arc home. It's like, okay, we're gonna get all the outcasts together.
yeah. Well, they really had to nail home the way Splinter feels. How we have to hide down here. We have to stay down here where it's safe. I have to protect you. We can't trust anyone. The humans are monsters. You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of see his arc throughout the movie.
Although I will say it was, I don't want to say disrespectful that he learned his karate through a VHS tape, and like not like really putting some time and effort in. But I like how they did the incorporation of like the live action and the animation. So like there was a lot of that was nice.
It
So
was it was a funny moment kind of seeing them like learn ninjutsu or karate or whatever the fuck they learn. They never really say exactly. Traditionally, it's ninjutsu, but they
right.
didn't say anything about it. But this is honestly one of my gripes with the movie. So I guess we're just gonna kind of throw out the whole Japan origin. In some versions, he's Amato Yoshi and he becomes Splinter, or at least he was Amato Yoshi's pet in Japan. And then there's the whole Rokusaki tie-in, and this one there's none of that.
Nothing.
He just gets mutated and then finds a fucking karate infomercial and TV, and they learn martial arts that way. After we see like a montage of them learning martial arts, I think it's Mikey. He like points up to the sewer grate and he takes them outside. And when they get to the surface, they're treated with disgust. They're treated with hate, and they almost get ran over by a truck. And Splinter saves them, and he vows to never let the turtles get hurt from the humans, and he will force them to, for the most part, stay in the sewer where they're safe, where he can protect them.
Understandably so, after humans treated them that way.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
New York, you would think they would have blended in. They had that
Dude.
ugly and SpongeBob in the back.
So when they go up to the surface, within like 4 seconds, they get spotted, and so it's like, oh my god, it's a big rat or whatever. And like, dude, I could walk around New York right now with my fucking pants down, and no one's gonna notice.
8 people would try to take a picture with you.
Yeah, no one's gonna fucking notice. The New York is it's one of those places you can go to and you could say and do whatever the fuck you want, and like people won't even bat an eye and just walk right by them. This is the first time we kind of see Superfly. His thugs are going to steal a radioactive storage unit in an ice cream truck, and they end up failing or almost getting caught by the cops. And then all of a sudden, the truck lifts up, and you see like wings, and it's Superfly picking up the truck to like pull him out of the situation with the cops. So no one knows what he looks like, and that's because we find out that he kills everyone that sees his face. So for the most part, anyone that works for him and gets a glimpse at him, he just straight up murders him.
Well, yeah, if you're going to be one of the biggest, baddest mutants that the world has ever seen, you can't let people run around and know that secret.
We meet Superfly, he kills the thugs, and then the turtles meet April. They're like up on the rooftop, like filming stuff, just joking around with their weapons. It's like their first day being off groundman for getting caught last time. And he throws
your head is shaped like Hey Arnold.
What does he say? He's like, your head is shaped like Stewie and Hey Arnold had a baby or something like that.
The pop culture references were on point.
There is a lot of references to pop culture, which is obviously makes it funnier.
Yeah, it's nice to see that pretty much everything exists in this universe.
And at least like this shows that the creators knew that Michelangelo's fucking head was shaped like a Big Mac or like a watermelon, it's literally like this. It's like very flat, and obviously they knew it's weird looking too because they made a joke about it. But out of all the turtles, I think Leo looks traditionally like the best when it comes to the way they looked in past iterations. I think Leo looks the best. It kind of has like the 90 movie to it, the 87 cartoon to it. He's not like super tall. He's not super thick. Leo looks
on record that you said that Leo looked the best out of everyone, because normally you will find any reason to not say that about.
Yeah, well, Leo does look the best, but he's still a fucking snitch. We meet April. They're playing with their weapons. Raph throws a ninja star, and it ends up like hitting her on the helmet that she's wearing. And while they're like bantering back and forth, someone steals her scooter and runs off with it, and the turtles are gonna help because now Leo's also like in love with her.
Yeah, usually Donatello's the one that has a crush on April. So that again, like they're taking like little aspects of the turtles and just kind of like swapping them out, which is a nice kind of change, just to kind of see, okay, like would this personality be like having a crush on April?
So I thought I wasn't gonna like April going into this movie. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the fact that she's fat and black. All right, let me just clarify for a second before anyone gets triggered and starts calling me a racist or a bigot or something. I only have a problem with this because she's a pre-established character. She's Irish and Scottish. I mean, come on, her last name is fucking O'Neill. I wouldn't want Hollywood to make Blade or Black Panther white. That's my point. Okay, back to the video. I don't. I think, so she's like, so I feel like they kind of just reshaped her character just to kind of check a box of like, we're changing this character for no reason. It happens a lot in Hollywood nowadays for no reason. And I thought I was gonna hate it, but it wasn't that bad. Because also like the fact that she's like chunky too, in past versions, she's literally been trained by Splinter before. You know what I mean? Like she'd have to be on a fucking diet and stay on a treadmill for a little bit before Splinter's gonna start training her.
Terrible.
But whatever. Just saying. But she actually wasn't as bad as I thought she was gonna be.
No, she definitely had, I think, way more of a selling factor than people gave her credit for based on what they were showing in the trailers.
Yeah.
And I think while they may have gone for the shock value of, changing the character around a little bit, it definitely didn't hurt the movie in any way.
No, she was fine. That's my point. So if anything, I thought it was going to be bad going into it, and she ended up having a good arc. She had good chemistry with the turtles, so I'm fine with it. They follow the goon who stole the scooter, and he takes it to a chop shop, right? And this is the part where I started to realize, like, there's a lot of talk of, like, and usually in kids' movies, when someone is talking about killing someone or murdering someone, they'll be like, destroy the so-and-so, or, finish the so-and-so, or, they just won't use, like, certain terms. Dude, they literally say murder the Shreks. The one, so there's, like, a fight scene in the chop shop, and the one goon has a fucking gun pointed right at him, and he's like, what'd he say? He goes, you want to die? You know what I mean? Like, in a kids' movie.
Yeah. Nickelodeon put the stamp on that? That's
Yeah.
surprising.
Raph even he like knocks out one of the thugs and just goes and spits
Yeah.
right on the
hurting
thug.
now? Okay. There's that anger coming out, Raph.
Yeah, so there's just a couple little things that, like, it was PG-13, I wouldn't have, like, thought twice about it, but it is a Nickelodeon movie strictly made for children.
They're trying for a new generation, so I guess we got to get a little bit grittier with them nowadays.
Yeah, even Superfly talks about it. He's like, I'm a straight up murder the humans. Like, we'll get to that later, but he talks about, like, murdering everyone, like, uses the word murder and kill. So they're fighting, and someone turns on the radio in one of the cars, and we hear Ninja rap.
Smashes his hand, and I was like, there it is. Go,
Yeah.
Ninja, go, Ninja, go.
It would have been cool to hear it a little longer, maybe if, like, it played, like, for, like, 10 seconds or so, and, like, Raph got his head smashed into the dashboard and turned back off. But it was still cool that they even included it.
Right, I wouldn't have minded if, like, that just became the soundtrack for a second, just kinda, like, had them fight to it, do a little bit of a dance, and then all right.
Yeah. But it's cool they even put it in there.
I was
So
gonna
the
say,
Turtles,
Ice had to get his royalties in there somehow.
I'm sure he did. Dude, he fucking loves the Turtles. He still has
He's
he has
great.
people with him on tour to this very day, like, dress up like fucking Ninja Turtles on stage.
As he fucking should.
As he fucking should. So there's a fight scene. It's the first time, like, Donnie even says at one point, he's like, but I've never gotten into a real fight before. So this is the first time they're all actually getting their hands dirty and not just, like, training with each other and sparring or whatever. So they explain their origin to April, and they're like, do you want to do it over a slice of pizza? And she says pepperoni. And then that's when the chemistry with them starts. They end up eating pizza, and they tell her about their origin, and then she tells them about her origin. So we find out she's a journalist, but Leo kind of makes an awkward comment about, like, you're in front of the camera, right? And she's like, no, not in front of the camera. So the turtles come up with the idea of capturing Superfly, and they'll become heroes to the humans, and they'll be accepted into society. They ask April for her help to document it, right? And that's when she says, meet me at Eastman High. So we get a little Kevin Eastman Easter egg in there where the high school is actually named after him.
And They were
There
up on
was-
the Laird building, which was
yes, Peter
the
Laird.
other one. Yep.
They were up on the building eating pizza, and that was the Laird. There was like a big neon sign.
Yep.
And this is when they get their first taste of high school, and this is what you're talking about with Puke Girl before. They're like, "Oh, who's the girl that's Puke Girl?" And it ends up being her. Just like you said, she attempts to like start reading off the morning announcements for the school, and she just fucking pukes everywhere. They like meme it, they put it on like obviously like TikTok and like YouTube and stuff, and they like she's just throwing up like nonstop. And so now
But-
she has extreme stage fright of getting in front of a camera.
And so now she's working her way back to, getting back into the spotlight eventually.
Donnie sees on a locker it says Attack on Titan. He's like, "Oh, they like Attack on Titan. I love anime." So we get our first reference of Attack on Titan, which obviously comes back later in the movie. Turtles track down all the crime bosses known to be associated with Superfly, and they kind of do a cool thing where like there's like 4 or 5 crime bosses they're going after, and they like kick down the door, but it's like all like a montage of like each time they went to each one, and it just kind of keeps like cutting from like scene to scene. The last crime boss that they interrogate, he says that he's doing a deal with them tonight in like an hour.
Yeah.
So they end up going posing as like his employees to like make the transaction with the last piece of TCRI technology he needs for his weapon. And they meet Superfly and all the mutants.
Which I was not expecting there to be so many, to be honest with you. Like I remember seeing them going through all the like voice cast when that all came out, and I was like, okay, this is a lot of people. So like, how is this gonna work?
Yeah. So what is there? There's Bebop, there's Rocksteady, there's Mono Gecko, there's Genghis Frog, there's Ray Fillet, there's Leatherhead.
Dead
I think
Bug.
that's Scumbug.
Right there it is. Yeah.
I think that's it.
And Wingnut.
Yes, and Wingnut. We don't get Screw Loose, but Wingnut is there. And for some reason, they made Leatherhead a girl and Wingnut a girl.
Yes, they took some liberties there.
I think because I don't remember there being a lot of female TMNT villains. Like, what, there's like there's Karai, but we're not doing the Shredder this time. So there's really not many, like, out of all the figures, like, yeah,
There's really not many.
there's really, so I guess they just wanted to have it so like there was some female villains as well. But like hearing Leatherhead not be like a Cajun guy from New Orleans just kind of sounds off. Like I think that's that's Leatherhead, dude. Like no, it wasn't a big deal. It just kind of seemed like a random choice, but it ended up being fine. And
Even some of the other.
Scumbug's a female too.
Yes, but it just talks in
What does he say? He's like, Scumbug talks in vermin, I think he says, or something.
which I guess was better than just Ray Fillet singing the entire time, which was still
Yeah.
funny. But like after the first or second time, I was like, okay, what else do you got, Ray?
So the Turtles meet Superfly, and they're like, obviously expecting to like jump him and document it all and save, and be heroes and stuff. But they actually ended up liking him. Like Ice Cube is awesome in the movie, by the way. So
Yeah.
I had a problem with Superfly originally because there's so many good villains in the TMNT world. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be like if they made a Batman movie and you made up a new villain when you have that fucking rogues gallery of villains to choose from.
Yeah,
So you have all these villains you could choose from, countless fucking people, and they make up a new one. But he ended up being really good. He was entertaining. He was witty. He was funny. He was menacing when he needed to be. Originally, like I kind of thought, like, if you're gonna do a Fly character, why not just do Baxter? So I had my gripe there. I would have loved to have seen Baxter do it, especially with Esposito as the voice. It would have been awesome too. But Ice Cube
Yeah.
nailed it.
yeah. We're
And
used to seeing Fly, like usually it's like Baxter's body with like a fly head or like something like kind of scrawny fly
yeah.
human hybrid. So seeing a huge jacked up Fly with Ice Cube's voice was
Yeah,
definitely
it was just
a nice touch.
it was a gangster ass Turtles villain.
What the? Y'all some little tortoises, huh? Look at you. Y'all adorable, man.
He had to have slipped at least once or twice, like in the studio, where he's like, "Yo, turtles, I'm coming for you, motherfuckers. Yo, y'all turtles, y'all tortoises are some straight bitches." He had
Dude.
those slip once or twice.
Oh, I would hope so. I would love to hear those bloopers.
Yes. So I put Ice Cube is super entertaining. Superfly tells him about his plan to quote unquote create all animals into mutants and become the dominant species on the planet. So that's when things kind of start, like the turtles are like, okay, this guy wants acceptance just like us, but now he's turning into a fucking psychopath.
Yeah,
wants to
there
murder
might
everyone.
be a little bit more to this Kool-Aid before we drink it.
Yeah. So there's a chase scene when the turtles attempt to steal back the TCRI equipment, and this is when we get our first look of like Superfly is a bad motherfucker. He like beats the shit out of all the turtles in the van, and then just fucking dips with the weapon, or with the piece he needs for the weapon.
Easily too, like did
Yeah,
not even
easily.
break a sweat.
At one point, he's like, I'm a mollywop, y'all. He's like, and Donnie's like, he's just straight up just like nailing Donnie, and he's like, he's mollywopping me. But then it's another one of the freaking the I'm surprised they said in the PG movie. He flies away and he's like, "I'll see you in hell, tortoises."
Yeah,
So
they
we're-
got away with more than I was expecting them to in this movie, as far as like it being directed at kids.
Yeah, they're like climbing out of the wreckage. How you said earlier about the tracker being on the equipment. The TCRI soldiers come up and surround the turtles. So the TCRI soldiers capture the turtles, and they bring them back to Cynthia Utrom, and she wants to use the turtles' blood to create more mutagen, and she has
How
them
does she
hooked
get
up.
the blood? She hooks them up to the milker.
She hooks them up to a fucking milking machine.
Was it the Mega Milker 3000? Or...
It's the Mega Milker 2000.
I
So
mean, they had to pay that joke off. It only would have not made sense if they didn't.
yeah, they literally made that joke like 4 or 5 times, so at least the joke had to pay off. So they're being tortured and being milked, and Splinter comes to save the turtles, and there's a fight scene with him and all the soldiers. Did you notice, dude, he stabs one of the fucking soldiers right in the head with the wand.
Yes, he does.
I literally looked for it the second time around because I remember seeing it the first time. I'm like, did he just stab that soldier in the fucking head? Like the soldiers have like these wands that you could like electrocute people with. And he like knocks one over, takes it, and just goes right through his fucking head. And the guy's just done. He's just out.
Dude, I loved this scene because it was like watching a Jackie Chan movie. Like they literally, like the choreography and everything was exactly how you would see him fight in any of his other movies, but it was just in rat form. So
With
watching
Jackie
it-
Chan's voice.
Yeah, right, just making his noises. So I was like, it really almost like took me out, but put me right back into it at the same time because I was like, oh right, that's Jackie Chan.
Yeah. So the Splinter and the Turtles confront Superfly right before he's about to turn on the machine. They're trying to convince the rest of the mutants to join them versus Superfly. And like they're saying that like you guys don't really want to do this. And very, very quickly, all of them change sides.
Yeah.
So they all change sides very, very easily. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to murder everyone on the planet. Actually, I thought that was the only way. I think Mono Gecko says that, or I forgot who says it. But then like, so I would have been fine with all of them kind of changing sides because they're all not like, well, maybe Leatherhead, but the rest of them aren't really notorious for being villains. But Leatherhead, Bebop, and Rocksteady. Bebop and Rocksteady, I feel like should have like, no, we're staying over here. So like, we don't get a lot of Bebop and Rocksteady in the movie, and they change sides. They change sides on the drop of a dime, and I thought that kind of felt out of place.
100%. And especially because if you're going to put all of this effort into like having all this cast of bad guys, they should have at least like, okay, so we don't want to go through with this plan of yours. Like we're gonna go off and do our own evil, our own separate way. Like Bebop and Rocksteady will go do their own thing. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Leatherhead goes over this direction. So like that way they can at least come back later and still be a potential villain and like
Yeah.
just kind of like we'll just put a bookmark on that and come back to it later. As opposed to, no, we're just going to make you good guys and then figure out what to do with you after.
They're supposed to be like family. Like they keep referring to like they're my family and stuff, and like so they just change sides that quickly, which was kind of odd.
The loyalty was there, but they didn't logically think it through.
Yeah. So then there's a fight scene with the Turtles and the mutants versus Superfly. They all kind of like gang up on him, and they knock him into the machine, and Superfly and the machine fall into the water, and then the machine goes off. He kind of becomes like he even makes a Godzilla reference. He becomes huge, and now he's super duper fly.
A super duper fly.
Yeah, his voice is all deep. I'm super duper fly. He's like part whale, part squid, part crab. He even has like fucking horses on his legs. I think like so the machine went off and everything that was in the ocean near him, obviously all combined. And I think he like goes over a zoo or something.
Yeah, there happens to be a zoo right next to the water because
Yeah, that's where
you
you got
have
the
to
horses
make sure
from.
the ocean creatures get a chance to be part of the zoo. So like it's extension.
Superfly looked great, even in his like, you know, his original form. But this form it screamed the original Playmates toys to me.
Yeah.
Like that wacky, mutated, you know, disgusting looking, like bright neon colors, like the contrast to them. It just reminded me of the Playmates toys that we.
Yeah, and I want to say that wasn't the first nod to the toys. Like at one point when they imagined the turtles being like actually going to high school, they had like Mikey in a Hawaiian shirt, which was like the old Hawaiian shirt Mikey from the back in the day. So like they definitely paid attention to some really cool throwbacks for us.
All the other mutants end up getting trapped somewhere, or like they're underneath a car and they can't continue to help, and it comes down to just the Turtles and Superfly, which is the way it should be. You know what I mean? Like you kind of want to see the main villain versus the main heroes. And during the fight, the humans are now aware of all the mutants, and they have another Times Square screen that has the Turtles on it, and it's like, are these mutant turtles like leading this group of criminals and blah 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 attacking the city? And they show the Turtles on the screens in Times Square, and they blame the Turtles for the attack.
Wrong place, wrong time, fellas.
Yep. And they're getting their ass kicked, and they can't figure out like what to do. And this was a cool scene. They kind of like Leo kind of breaks down like what each of his brother's strengths are. Like he breaks down like Mikey. Like what did he say? He's like, you're really good at improvising. Donnie, you read a lot of comic books, and you know you're smart, and you always, you know, you have to be able to come up with a plan. And Raph, like you're angry, like, you know what I mean? Like, so he kind of like points out all their strengths, and I forget, I think it might be Donnie or Raph, but they say like, Leo, that was the first time you actually seemed like a leader. So that was a cool moment. You had like all of the characteristics that all the Turtles are known for all kind of shine in that one scene.
And it was nice to kind of you needed to bring them out of their moment of darkness to, you know, give them that motivation to really be the heroes that they want to be, not just because they want to, you know, fit in with society and that's how they'll be accepted, but, you know, just to be able to help people for the sake of helping people.
Yeah, they even say like, well, even though they think that we're the bad guys now, like I still think we should do the right thing.
Yeah,
because there's a whole arc even with April too. Like they say that we're doing the right thing for the wrong reasons.
And again, like you were saying, watching Leo kind of come to that realization, and then, you know, really step up and be like, all right, guys, this is the way we have to do things. And they just like, all right, cool, here we go.
So then right after that speech Leo gives, Donnie comes up with the idea that in Attack on Titan, their weakness is behind the neck. So then he says that, and he's like, well, he has a blowhole here because he's part whale, so he has a blowhole here. So they plan on putting the anti-mutagen down the blowhole, and it should attack his bloodstream and end a Superfly. So that's the plan. We kind of come full circle with April as well. She sees like the report on the screens, like, you know, making the Turtles look like they're attacking the city, and she breaks into the. I didn't see if it was channel 6 or channel 3. I don't know which one they're doing. It was 6. So she breaks into the news station, and she goes in front of the camera and she clears their names. She clears their names and she says that Superfly is the bad guy, and the Turtles and all the mutants they're with, they're not attacking the city. This scene reminded me, so the humans end up helping the Turtles get the mutagen up to where they need to go. And this
Yep.
reminded me a lot of the scene in Spider-Man 1 when he's like, you mess with Spider-Man, you're messing with New York.
with all of us.
Yeah. And you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And they like help Spider-Man versus Green Goblin in the
Yeah.
first movie. So they help the Turtles and then the rest of the mutants get the anti-mutagen up high, so where they have a chance of actually putting it down Superfly's blowhole, which sounds like a very weird sentence now that I'm saying it out loud. So they succeed. They all kind of get on the same page and help each other out. And I think it was Leo. He cuts the mutagen open. It falls down his blowhole, and he starts like mutating and falling apart. And they destroy Superfly and save New York.
And I have to say, it was. I keep talking about the animation, but like it was really well done, especially because he was at this point an amalgamation of so many different random animals. He had like horses
Yeah.
for legs and like giraffe neck coming out of his face.
Crab hand,
Yeah,
a crab
Guess-
claw.
I guess there's worse places to have crabs.
That's true.
But so overall, the way they introduced the anti-mutanogen was a nice touch to kind of come back at the end and really help them.
Yeah, because they mention it in the very first scene when they're going to attack Baxter. He says something about like the anti-mutagen weapons. They're all armed with anti-mutagen weapons or whatever. So the machine guns that you see throughout the whole movie that have like the neon blue in it, that's the anti-mutagen weapons. The humans celebrate with the Turtles and they accept them.
It's nice to see that it was not in vain for them to do the right thing. They were helpful, and it ended up not only getting them accepted, but they were actually able to, save the world.
Yes. So they did things for the right reasons and it ended up working out for them. Why the fuck did Splinter and Scumbug have to kiss?
That was a really unnecessary.
It felt very odd, man.
Well, they needed a reason to have Scumbug be around, because before that, Scumbug was borderline useless.
Yeah.
And I mean, that can be said about half of the mutant army.
Yeah.
If Paul Rudd wasn't Mondo Gecko, he probably wouldn't have had as many lines or been as prominent.
Did you notice, speaking of Mono Gecko, so every time, especially when we see him, when we first see him, and I think we see him another time where he's skateboarding. Dude, none of the Turtles fucking skate in this movie. Not a single fucking time. So I grew up skateboarding, so like I have like a special place for skateboarding. All the toys, all the new Playmates toys, they're on skateboards. One of the posters is like Raphael holding a board by the truck on the board, and it's like covered in stickers, and it says Mutant Mayhem on it. So they use like, even on I got a comic. When I saw it the first night, they were giving out comics. And the cover of the comic is literally all four of them skateboarding. They never skate in the fucking movie.
To be honest with you, I can't say that I can confirm or deny that. Like they don't do like a fun like skateboarding through the sewers thing like they always do. So like, I mean, I understand why you don't do it, because like they've done it a million times. But
yeah, but if you're gonna promote it that much in like the advertising and in like the in the action figures,
there was no other
like
movie to do it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not a big deal. I just kind of noticed that.
Yeah. No, that's a good one.
And so this is my main gripe with the movie. I did not like the ending. I don't like the idea of all the villains. So like you have like we said before, there's like fucking 8 of them. You have 8 villains that now are pulled from the Rogues Gallery because they move in with the Turtles. They all move in with the Turtles, which is weird because now you have Bebop and Rocksteady living in the sewer. So now you have, if some of these villains end up doing their own thing and kind of becoming villains in like future movies, now they all know where the fucking lair is.
Right.
So now they all know what the lair is, right? And they end up going to high school, which I think is fucking dumb. I never liked the idea of like the Turtles actually full on going into high school. So now, not only do the villains know where the lair is, now if you're trying to find them, they're in fucking public school. You just fucking attack the school during fucking math class.
Wait for the bell to ring.
Yeah. So now, like, everyone's gonna know where they are all the time, and I don't know. I don't like the idea of the turtles going to school.
Well, I feel like, and this is just me potentially thinking ahead, I think maybe that could be the direction they're going with it. Like they
Yeah.
put themselves, it's almost the opposite where like every other movie is like out of the shadows where like they have to like put themselves into the real world. Now it's the opposite where like, oh shit, like we might be putting people in danger. We have to put ourselves back into the shadows and just kind of
Yes.
like go back to the actual ninja at, because there wasn't too much ninja in this Ninja Turtles. There wasn't a whole lot of stealth. There wasn't like,
Yeah.
so I feel like that would be a nice growth to kind of get them to that eventually.
I kind of hope maybe in the beginning of the next movie, they kind of see how much, just like you said, how much danger they put, civilians in just from being around them, because now they're an easy target because everyone knows where they are now. Everyone knows who they are.
Exactly, and especially because we don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the villains turned good guys. Are they going to now be part of the team? Is there going to be some sort of fallout where they all have to, now fight against each other?
I hope they won't keep it, because I feel like if they keep everyone living in the lair with them, it's just going to be too crowded all the time. Because like you kind of, even in like the cartoon series and the other movies, you have like a big action set scene or like, an action set piece, and then they all kind of regroup, and then we could focus on the four turtles and Splinter, and then go do whatever else you're doing next, and then we focus on Splinter and the turtles. You have like fucking 13, 14, or 15 people in the lair at all times. It's just going to get crowded. So it would be crowded metaphorically and literally.
Yeah, big time.
And so mid-credit scene, we see Cynthia Utrom talking to someone about like calling someone in, and we get our stinger shot, which is the Shredder.
A Shredder.
He's looking over the city, and then the credits continue. So if they're doing Shredder next time around, I have an issue with Amato Yoshi's Splinter and Orokusaki Shredder not being tied together.
That's going to be interesting to see how they kind of play that out.
Because the whole thing is Orokusaki goes to the United States to get revenge on Amato Yoshi. That's like the main reason why he goes to the city. And so now you're not going to have Shredder and Amato Yoshi having that history together, which makes their conflict more personal. Now he's just kind of like, what is he, a guy for hire? Is he, you know what I mean? Like,
it lessens.
Is he just a mercenary? Is he a really, really badass mercenary?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it diminishes the badassity of Shredder, because now he's like you said, the gun for hire, as opposed to the guy who's had the master plan the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Shredder will still be cool. It'll be cool to see like the Foot Clan. It'll be cool to see the Turtles battle Shredder again. I'm sure it'll still be awesome, even if it's not tied to Splinter in some way, shape, or form with their history. But I think it would have added to it. But also, like, that's my problem with Bebop and Rocksteady being fucking heroes now, or being kind of good guys, or whatever they are, because Bebop and Rocksteady, as the lackeys for Shredder, would just look fucking great on screen again.
Yeah, 100%.
So hopefully, at least they join up with Shredder eventually in the next movie. I would like to see more of them too. Like you have Seth Rogen, who's Bebop, which actually his voice didn't bother me that much. Like we didn't have like the one time in the movie,
right?
So you cast John Cena as Rocksteady. They clearly have like effects on his voice, and he doesn't even sound like John Cena. If I didn't know that was John Cena, I wouldn't have recognized him.
It wasn't until afterwards where I was watching the cast list scroll by, I was like, oh right, I guess that was him. Like he barely said anything to even warrant such a like heavy title.
So I think in the next movie it would feel less crowded if there was less villains, but more important villains. So if we had Baxter, Shredder, Bebop, Rocksteady, and the Foot Soldiers,
Oh yeah.
I think they could all kind of share the screen better and not just have a screen of villains that are just kind of there just to be there and like don't have many lines. But I think the next movie could be really good. I don't need every movie to have the scale of like we have to do this or the world's gonna end. You know what I mean? Like we could do a smaller scale story with Shredder and the Turtles and not have it be we're gonna save New York or we're gonna save the planet or et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Just be stop the bad guy.
Yeah, stop the bad guy from doing something that is personal and resonates with the viewers more.
Well, I feel like going on that personal level, if they had initiated the Orokusaki Hamato Yoshi connection, that would have at least given somewhere for it to go that wasn't, city ending or world ending.
Yeah. Just a good old revenge story between two people who have history and the Turtles are caught up in the middle.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Overall, though,
We'll see. I think the second one's going to be good. Everyone loves Shredder, and, he's one of my favorite villains personally as well. But I think this movie, dude, for someone who loves the Turtles like you and I do, like my personal favorite will always be the 1990 movie. That movie is fucking near perfect in my opinion. And, putting that to the side and kind of not having my nostalgic, biased opinion on the Turtles, I think they did a really good job of nailing the origin, the personality and charm of this movie. It's great for kids. Like I said before about seeing the kids like in the toy aisle, like even after my second time seeing it, both showings, there was applause afterwards. There was kids playing in the aisles, kids running around with their collector's popcorn tin and their Raphael and Leonardo masks on, and you know what I mean? Like, so the kids are having fun and their Turtles are getting introduced to a whole new generation. I'm personally not the biggest Seth Rogen fan. I think he has more duds than he does like really good funny movies. Like Pineapple Express is fucking great, so like I'll give him that.
Right.
But also like you can tell him and Jeffro are huge Ninja Turtle fans, and everyone that was involved with this, they were all fans growing up. They all played with the toys like we did, and they were like honored to take the TMNT property into the new generation.
And it's in good hands at the moment. So let's see where we go with it.
Where would you rate it? Like out of 10?
Out of 10, solid 8.
Yeah, I'm like right around like a 7 or 8. So I would say like
Yeah, definitely
yeah.
a couple of things I would have changed, but to be honest with you, I left that theater very happy. I was like, okay, this is a new style of turtles. Let's see where this goes.
I was very scared to be disappointed, and I walked out happy. So I have no complaints, minus a couple little nitpicks here and there, but that's just because I'm going to overanalyze the fuck out of this. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with Lenny and I and watching the review with us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the movie like we did. If you haven't, take your kids. You know what I mean? Take your kids to go see it. If you're a fan of the Turtles growing up like we were, you're going to have a good time.
I mean, COWABUNGA just doesn't say enough for this movie, but I left this movie very happy.
Yes. As Mikey said in the 1990 movie, COWABUNGA says it all.
Can't go wrong with that.
All right, guys. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until the next one, later, guys.
Later.